This is solved grade 12 mathematics Ethiopian University entrance examination in English part 9, presented to you by Umar Adam Umar. This is going to be the end of chapter 1 of mathematics student textbook of grade 12, and let us see this question. It is the application of geometric and arithmetic sequence, and therefore let us begin with question number 26. It says a motor bicycle is now worth 81,000 and lost 1/3 of its value each year. What will it worth after 4 years? That is what the question says. Now, since the motor bicycle now worth 81,000, write G initial is equal to 81,000, and after a year the motor bicycle worth the initial amount minus 1/3 of the initial amount, which means 1/3 of the initial amount will be subtracted from the initial amount. In that case, we will get the amount of the money that this motor bicycle will worth after a year. Then G1 is equal to G naught, G initial minus 1/3 G naught. This is equal to G initial 2/3. When if we common out G initial from here, 1 minus 1/3 means it is 2/3, and therefore after a year it was G initial, this amount 81,000 times 2/3, and after 2 years again the motor bicycle will worth G1, the amount it was a year ago, minus 1/3 of this amount. That is G2 is equal to G1 minus 1/3 of G1, which becomes G1 times 2/3. But our G1, we already obtained G1. G1 is equal to G naught 2/3, and therefore replace or substitute G1 by this expression, G initial 2/3. Then it becomes G initial 2/3 the power of 2. And for in general, G3 after 3 years it will worth G initial times 2/3 the power of 3. In 4 years it was G4 is equal to G initial 2/3 the power of 4, and so on. Therefore now here for n years, Gn is equal to the amount of money that the motor bicycle worth will be Gn is equal to G initial 2/3 the power of n, and therefore G4 means after 4 years it will worth, since our initial is 81,000, then 81,000 times 2/3 the power of 4, and 2/3 the power of 4 means 2 the power of 4 over 3 the power of 4, which becomes 16/81. Then this 81 cancel this 81. We have left with 1,000 here. 1,000 times 16 becomes 16,000. That is the amount of money that this particular motor bicycle will worth after 4 years. That means it worth 81,000, but after 4 years it is simply 16,000 birr, Ethiopian birr. Anyone can buy after 4 years this motor bicycle, which was now 81,000. Okay, next question. Therefore your answer should be here D. Next one, it says question number 27. A man deposits birr 3,000 in a bank account, paying an annual interest rate of 10%. What is the amount he has at the end of the second year. That is what the question says. Now, the person deposited this amount, but after annually, that bank in which the man deposited his money pays 10% interest rate. Therefore, what will be his amount after the second year? That is what the question says. Suppose that initially the man deposited 3,000. Now the bank pays 10% interest rate. Therefore, these are 10% means it is 0.1. The rate at which the bank pays interest will be 0.1, and therefore after a year his amount becomes this initial amount plus interest rate times this initial amount. Then the sum of the two becomes G initial multiplied by 1 plus R. Our R is 0.1, and therefore 0.1 plus 1 gives us 1.1. When 1.1 is multiplied by 3,000, it becomes 3,300. After a year, if this bank pays this amount interest rate, after a year, his money, his deposit becomes 3,300. Okay. Now, in general, since we do have an initial amount of money that was deposited by the guy, we have Gn for n years. His amount becomes Gn is equal to G initial into 1 plus R the power of n. Our R is 0.1, 0.1 plus 1, 1.1 the power of n. Therefore, G2 is equal to G initial 1 plus R the square, and our G initial is 3,000. The initial deposit is 3,000. Then the rate at which the bank pays the interest is 10%, and therefore multiply 3,000 by 1 plus 0.1 square, which becomes 3,000 multiplied by 1.1 square. 1.1 square means it is 1.21, and therefore when 1.21 is multiplied by 3,000, it becomes 3,630. This guy will get, even though he didn't add any money, by the initial amount, he will earn about 630 birr to his initial money that he deposited. Therefore, he will receive 3,630. If it continues like this one, then the guy after a certain year will be a rich man. Now let us go to the next question. This is going to be the last question of application of geometric and arithmetic series. This question says, question number 28, a flower 90 centimeter high is planted in a garden. At the end of the first year, the flower is 100 centimeters tall. Thereafter, the growth of the flower each year is half of its growth in the previous year. What will be the maximum height that the flower can grow? Let us deal with this one. After a year, since we planted a 19 centimeter high flower now, then after a year, if it is 100 centimeter high, then after 1 year, G1 becomes 100 minus 19. The growth is simply 10 centimeter high after a year. And thereafter, the growth of the flower each year is half of its growth in the previous year, which means in the second year, then the growth is simply 5 centimeter only. It adds only 5 centimeter. After 3 years, the growth will become 5/2, and so on. This is a geometric sequence, as you can see. Therefore, the growth will be 10, 5, 5 over 2, 5 over 4, 5 over 8, and so on. If it continues like this one, since this is a geometric sequence, let us add this series. The first term is 10, the second term is 5, the third term is 5 over 2, and therefore this is geometric sequence, since when 5 is divided by 10 it gives us 1 over 2, and the 5 over 2 divided by 5 it gives us 1 over 2, and the 5 is the power 5 over 4 divided by 5 over 2 gives us 1 over 2, and so on. Then the common ratio is simply 1 over 2, which is between 1 and the minus 1. Then if we infinitely add this series, then it becomes 10 plus 5 plus 5 over 2 plus 5 over 4 plus, and so on. And this sequence converges, since our R, the common ratio, is between minus 1 and 1. Therefore, we say if a geometric sequence is if a geometric series is converges, then the sum is nothing but it is simply G1 over 1 minus the common ratio, and therefore our G1 is 10. Then put 10 here, 1 minus the common ratio is 1 over 2, 1 minus 1 over 2, and then 10 over 1 over 2. It becomes 20. Now the growth of the flower is simply limited by to this one, to 20 centimeter only, from 90 centimeter when we first planted it. Then it is grows. If the growth continues by simply reducing to half of its growth to the previous year, then the growth will limited to 20 centimeter, and therefore the maximum height it can grow will be 20 centimeter plus 19 centimeter, which is equal to 110 centimeter. It will never be grow more than this amount. It will stop, the growth will stop at 110 centimeter if the growth continues as such. That is the end of chapter 1 of grade 12 mathematics. Next time we will see unit 2, which deals with calculus. And till then, please, if you like the video, subscribe and like, and if you can, share it to other people so that they can also learn by watching this video. And see you next time. We will see calculus. Be ready. Until then, bye bye.